Welcome to the Business Power Hour with Darren and the Music Man. Brought to you by Friend Entertainment USA, producing the best concerts for charities and corporations for over 30 years. And CBMS Consulting Services, control your business before it controls you. In association with Area 22 Productions, your multimedia streaming network. Now, here is Darren and the Music Man. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Business Power Hour with Darren and the Music Man. I'm Darren Sayafi, your co-host tonight, and as you see to my left is the Music Man, Norman Wasserman. Welcome back, Norman.
I'm really here.
Yeah, I know that.
I am really
How
here.
you feeling, buddy?
I'm feeling pretty well after about 4 months in the hospital.
Feels like that, right?
No, it was that.
Yeah.
It was that. You know, we went out, we came back. I think I have about 3 more weeks to go home, you know, with my dialysis. Whatever.
Right.
But we're looking good, and
Excellent.
very happy to be here. Looking forward to be here on a continuous basis, and I'm very happy to have our first guest, a good friend of mine.
Yeah, and you know what? We have we say it every week. We have a great show. We have a great guest.
Mm-hmm.
All right, this particular gentleman is a good friend of yours, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we got a little bit of a theme going with a lot of attorneys on lately.
But he's special.
But here's the great thing about it, and this is the great thing about law, is there are so many different specialties, just like doctors, and you ran into that when you were, in your experiences over the last couple of months.
I'm sorry to say.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you find out how many different people do different things.
Uh-huh.
But, our guest tonight is very specific in what he does, right?
And very good.
Very good.
It's not just specific. He's very good
So he does,
at what he does.
Right. He does personal injury, attorney. Stuart Kitchner from Kitchner and Associates is with us tonight. Welcome, Stuart.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now, let me ask you this. Personal injury, does that include divorce? Because isn't that one and the same?
I guess you could say in a way. No, really, I concentrate on, again, personal injury law, which means essentially if someone suffers a physical harm or physical injury due to the negligence or a fault of a third party or another person.
Like a car accident or
a slip and fall. I do some medical malpractice, construction accidents.
Right. We were talking about that before the show, and we were talking about how the construction industry, how it is so bad from the owner's perspective. Because you and I were talking, right?
Correct.
And I have a lot of contractors who are clients of mine, and I'm looking at it from a perspective as I want to protect my contractor.
Correct.
But the law that you practice is really on the employee side, or the people that would be actually suing the contractor, right?
Correct. Without getting into any legalese or without the
you got to dumb it down for me. So
you said that. The New York State is really specific about the construction workers, and the laws are very protective of the construction workers in the state, in that the laws are very lenient or beneficial, should I say, towards the construction workers as against the general contractors and owners.
Right. So, I deal with...
I want to say property owners.
Right. So, I deal with, Department of Labor audits, things like that, and it seems like from the perspective of the state, the employee is right, and it's up to the owners of the companies to prove it otherwise.
Well,
Regardless
almost. A plaintiff, the person suing, still has to prove his case, but under the labor law, certain sections of the labor law in New York, it's almost, I'll use the term like a strict liability onus against the general contractor and property owners.
Right.
Without getting into details, there are some exemptions for certain homeowners against that protects them against this favorable law to the
So what you're saying is
construction
if I hire a contractor to come in and do work in my house, and his employee gets hurt in my house, there's a possibility he could sue me as well as his boss?
there's a possibility, but again, there's an exclusion or an exclusion against certain homeowner properties.
Okay, so
So a 1 or 2 family and 3 family homeowner is excluded from that.
Right.
So we're looking at a lot of commercial property and multiple dwelling units.
okay.
Well,
Now,
let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
If it's a weekend, it's a Sunday, we're going to sit down and have a dinner. We invited some friends over, and we're about to sit down, and we're walking to the table, and one of the kids falls, right, trips. We all have kids. It all happens. They bang their head. They cut themselves. They go, "Mommy, mommy, mommy." The next thing you know, your best friend. You get a phone call from Stuart, Kitchner and Associates. Hi, I'd like to talk to the owner of the house. I'm the owner of the house. Great. I'd like to make an appointment with you to come on down and take all the money and your house. Okay? And how does that work?
That doesn't really work like that. In a situation like that, obviously you have to investigate how does the accident happen, what caused the accident, and every case is very case specific.
Right.
So if you give me a scenario, well, everything like, oh, that depends. So if someone, say a carpet was loose or a floorboard was loose, that is probably
or a sidewalk was
si-
cracked or
sidewalk
something
was
like that.
cracked. The important thing, again, is keeping it basic, is the property owner usually has to have, well, not usually, but has to have some kind of notice of the
Right.
condition.
Okay.
They have to be aware of the condition.
Right.
So if a child leaves a toy out in the yard or in the hallway, which is sort of a transient or temporary thing, that case is more difficult than, say, someone trips over a loose carpeting or loose stairs or
Right.
something that's there for a prolonged period of time.
How common is that? How common is somebody just suing because
Because they can.
they can, or they think they can? Let me ask you it this way: how many times do you get calls with people who think they have a case and they really don't?
Many times. And what happens in my business, unfortunately, is that there are a lot of TV commercials where they expound on what great settlements they had and without getting into detail about what happened.
Right.
So
There's that one commercial where the girl comes on and goes, "I got hit by a truck and I got me $5 million," and the
Right.
other guy goes, "I got a motorcycle accident and I got $1 million," and all of these different things.
Right, and when I see it, I cringe because those cases are so far and few between,
Right.
and there are so many factors involved with dealing with that.
Right.
But do they get settled?
Excuse me?
Do they get settled?
Cases get settled. The good cases get settled. The cases that are iffy and have a question about whether there's fault or not go to trial. Because if the insurance company or defense says, "I'm not at fault," and the plaintiff says, "Yes, you were at fault," so they leave that up for a jury or they take it all the way to trial. But good cases where you have good liability and the plaintiff has a good case on the hands usually get settled. And the amount of money that someone gets is all 95% of it depends on what your damages are.
Right.
Damages, that's a term the lawyers use, and that's basically injuries.
So injuries, things like that. I had a situation where, 2005, 6, and 7, I owned a minor league basketball team, okay? And one of my players got into a fight with another player and actually broke his jaw, okay? And I got sued because I was the owner of the team.
Right. Right.
And my insurance company defended.
Right.
Thank God we had tons of insurance. But
Sure.
at the end of the day, what it came down to was, because we had tape, because the game was taped and everything else, the two went at it, and it was, okay, the insurance company was like, "We'll pay you medical bills," just to make it go away.
Right.
And the attorney for the insurance company told me they could push this thing and push this thing and push this thing. We just want to get rid of it. For the amount of money it cost us for his medical bills, it was probably half of what I would have been billing just to see this thing through.
Right.
But they were coming after me. They were coming after my
Sure.
partner. I had to go for a deposition. I had to
Sure.
do all of these
Sure.
things.
Sure.
And I'm sitting there going, wait a second, you two started a fight with each other, and now I'm liable.
Right.
So I see that happening.
Right. That's very, very common. And what another factor depends on how much insurance you do have. Many times in a typical everyday automobile accident, there are drivers running around or driving around New York State who have a minimum $25,000
Right.
policy. So God forbid you're in an accident and you sue that person and you have severe injuries, the maximum you can get is $25,000 unless you want to go after that person personally.
And if they only have $25,000 on their car, more than likely they don't have many assets that you're going to recover from.
You hit it right on the head. Usually the person does not have any assets. So that's why it's important that you as a driver or as an insured have uninsured and underinsured coverage on your policy.
Right.
So hypothetically, say I'm in an accident and my injuries are worth $100,000. The person I hit and is guilty only has $25,000 worth of coverage. Hopefully, if I get the $25,000, I can then go to my underinsurance policy and recover the difference.
So what you're saying is to our viewers tonight is that having the right insurance policies can actually save you from having to deal with things like this, because accidents happen. Regardless of whose fault it is, and majority of the time, and this is what you're kind of saying with the claims that these commercials make, is that you're not going to become a millionaire because of an accident.
No, unless God forbid you suffer some traumatic injuries.
That's the only way you get any money.
God forbid.
But somebody's got to
limb.
pay for it, right?
Correct.
So
Correct.
if they don't have the insurance and they don't have the assets, where's the money coming from? So if you have the proper insurance on yourself, then that will come into the fold and you'll be, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Your insurance will fill the gap.
Right.
Once in a while, well, not once, but it happens where you're in a car accident and the car has a $100,000 policy or a $300,000 policy, then you're in much better shape. But your underinsurance coverage is really will fill the gap between someone who has a minimum policy.
Okay.
Well, let me ask a question. Obviously, we all know what business I'm in. I mean, I put on concerts. At one time, I did a lot of concerts at Queens College. Queens College calls me up and says, "Hey, Norman, we're doing Jackie Mason at the first of the year. Could you do us a favor and advertise for us?" I said, "Yeah, sure, no problem. Tell me, just send me what you want, and I'm more than happy to put it up for you." So I go and I put up the flyer. Within a week, I get a phone call from a reporter from the Daily News who says, "You're doing insurance." I forgot Jackie Mason. You're covering that. I said, "Who's Jackie Mason?" I have no idea who Jackie Mason. Of course I did. I have no idea who Jackie Mason is. I don't know anything about him. Yeah, but you have it on your website that you're going to be doing a show. I said, "Well, you better take it off because I'm not doing anything with Jackie Mason." Okay. I said, "You're going to settle this now, are you not?" "No, we're not going to settle it." I mean, you have me down there as doing a show, and it's $6,000. How are you not doing this?
Right.
So, okay. I just settled the case. It was, when did I told you I had sold it.
It was
I
just
settled
a couple of months ago.
Yeah, it just happened. And minimal. Now, it was a car accident. I'm the one who got hit. 4 people. I'm the one who got hit. I settled for peanuts. They had peanuts for insurance. They had only $10,000 each, because that's how. What's the name of the insurance company? That's why they can advertise.
Right.
We're not going to name names.
Exactly.
But
Right.
we're not going to
So
name names. But
they put it up there, and they advertise it, and they increase their business because they have people that will run there now.
Right. Right.
Whatever. It's crazy. It's just ridiculous.
so if I could, let me go in a different direction a little bit. All right? Can we go
Sure.
change town? How did you decide you were going to get into personal injury law? Now, Norman, you want to ask him the question? When he was on the playground, when you were on the playground as a kid,
Whisper in my ear.
On the playground, right? As a kid, was he thinking?
Oh, got it.
Remember that?
Okay, I got it.
You wanna
It's
do
been
that?
a long time.
I know it's been a
and
while. And I use it all the time. Stephen can attest to
You
that, right,
stole it.
Stephen? Yep.
You stole it.
I stole.
Okay, so you grew up in Brooklyn, correct?
Correct.
And you're in the playground. It's the summertime, and you're playing with your friends, and you're playing basketball or whatever it is that you're doing. And you're a pretty good basketball player.
Oh, the best.
So we talked about it.
Recruited by the Big Ten.
Right.
Wait, really?
We talked about it. You were really pretty good. So you decided that that's going to be your profession. You're going to be a basketball player. Turns out, nice Jewish mommy doesn't want you to be a professional ball player. She wants you to be a nice Jewish attorney from Brooklyn.
Right.
Okay? And that's what you did. What made you decide, who did you know to put you into this business?
A lawyering or personal injury?
Well, let's
What's
get.
the lawyer?
What made you
lawyer?
decide to become a lawyer? When you were going to school, you said, "I want to
Yeah.
go and I want to be a lawyer now."
Well, when I was in high school, I had some internships with a civil court judge in Brooklyn.
Okay.
One day a week. It was sort of a new innovation for high school students too. So one day a week, I would go down to the court and sit with the judge and watch the actions of the court, and it interested me very much. I was, intrigued by it. It was something that was on my mind. Went away to college and didn't really think about it that much then. Although I took some law courses and did very well in them, pre-law,
Right.
as undergraduate, and did very well in them, better than my other classes. And then I, to be honest, I thought when I graduated college I was done. I was figured that I don't want to go back to school.
Okay. And what
And
did you
then-
get your degree in? Your undergraduate
Broadcast
degree?
journalism
Broadcast journalism.
Broadcast
Okay.
journalism.
and
Interesting.
political science.
Okay, so I
Right.
can see the poli-sci
Right.
tying into the
Right.
legal. Right?
Without boring everybody, about 8 years after I graduated, I talked to family members here and there, and they said I got a bug, say, why don't you go back to school?
Right.
And that was the last thing on my mind, but I pursued it. I knew I had to go at night, so I went to school. I went to school back at night. I went to law
did
school
you?
at night. Right.
Okay.
Right. Because
All
I
right.
was emancipated or free from my parents' home at that
Right.
time.
Right, right.
I was a young man.
Right.
And I was working for a big law firm in Manhattan, and I did it. I was very driven back then, and I said, "Let me do this."
Excellent.
Like
All right.
an accomplishment.
Okay, so then now, once you became a lawyer, how did you get into the personal injury law?
I just kind of fell into it. Right.
Boom, boom.
Right. At first, I was doing some real estate, and I didn't like it. And,
Okay.
And I got hired by a personal injury firm. I just wanted to get some experience and see what law was like and the practice of law. And I got into working for a firm that did some elder law and personal injury.
Okay.
And I stayed there for a little while. I went to a more a firm that really involved personal injury.
Okay.
And I took a liking to it. There's a lot of courtroom. You get into the courtroom. You're almost there every day. You get to prep trials, do some trials. And I at least got a sense of like you're helping people. And you really get that sense on the plaintiff side.
Well, and we all know, right? And there's personal injury. There's good and bad, like everything. There's always good and bad. And there are times, and you see this with people, and we all see it in everything that we do, that people get screwed.
Oh, yeah.
And what you're doing is helping people not be screwed over by the system, because you got these big corporations and insurance companies. And like I said, my insurance company was going to fight this thing tooth and nail, because this guy, he sued us for $5 million, and they weren't going to hand over a check for $5 million. And they were going to fight it tooth and nail, and it just ended up being his medical bills. and just the power that these large corporations and these large insurance companies have, because they have the resources to fight this stuff, is just tremendous. So I could see that there's probably a lot of satisfaction you get when I got a good deal for this person.
Correct.
They got what was justly theirs.
Correct.
When I got my decision, the attorneys and I knew it was going to be crap. We knew it but we got a relationship. We liked each other. All right, let me give it one more shot. So, and he was down in Louisiana, and he had just gotten married.
So you had an attorney from Louisiana.
And actually, I got an attorney from New York, whose partner, this new partner that he got, in your business, you may know him because he just got married. I'm sorry, he just got married. Took it upon himself after a phone call to me to say, do you mind if we take another shot and go for it? No, just do what you got to do.
Right.
He did.
Yeah.
So Stu,
And it worked.
If people want to get a hold of you, right? Because it sounds like you can help a lot of people, not only just from car accidents, things like that, but obviously you have experience with construction, accidents, things like that. So if we got people that say work for the railroad and get hurt or something like that, you can help them.
Absolutely.
Right?
Correct.
Okay, so how can they get tell everybody tonight how they can get in touch?
They can get in touch with me very easily. It's Stuart, Kitchner and Associates. The phone number is 516-708-9250. My website is Kitchner Law, KITCHNERLEW, KitchnerLaw.com. And that's basically it.
That's how they get a hold of you.
It's very straightforward, not complicated. What I do want to just, it's something that we discussed. What I try and do is I try and help the clients try to maybe settle their claim or a claim in claim before filing a lawsuit. Because once you file a lawsuit, it's in the courts, and then you're dealing with defense attorneys, and it
gets messy.
It just gets bogged down in the court system.
It's stupid.
Right.
And in the New York area, the metropolitan area, there's so many thousands of cases, unfortunately, in the court system that it takes years.
Right.
So if I cannot settle the case in claim before filing the lawsuit, which I will try and do, then you must file the case in the courts.
Right.
But we try and avoid that sometimes.
Okay. I want to shout out to a couple of people that are watching
Please
tonight.
do.
First, I want to say hi to Mrs. Renee Wasserman. She's watching us.
Is she my
Okay.
honey?
Your honey is watching us. Darren Zinner, always speaking. As a matter of fact, Darren says he just texted us. I need to speak with him. Darren's the guy that works for the railroad, by the way.
Okay.
So you have a potential client.
Brian,
There you go. Thank you very much.
Brian Cohen, who all of us know. Thank you, Brian, for watching. Okay.
Oops, sorry.
Oh, you keep hitting the screen. I just want to say hi to a couple of people. So those
Say
are
hello to
people
yourself.
and myself. I'm on there too. So thanks, guys, for tuning in. You got any other questions? I see Darren. I'll pass along that information. Darren's one of my clients, so I'll take care of him. He works. He's on both sides because he actually owns a company.
I see.
All right, an electrical contracting company, as well as works for the railroad. So he probably needs your advice for both sides. How can he protect himself?
Right.
And that's where I wanted to go before, was how can contractors protect themselves from these type of claims?
In, say, the construction...
In, say, the construction industry.
They have to follow the law. They have to follow the OSHA laws and the New York State Industrial Code.
Right.
They'll know what that is. And safety has to be first.
Right.
I might take that back. There are general contractors out there that do not follow that, and that's when the accidents happen.
Right. So let me give you a scenario. We have a contractor. He's on site. We'll say Darren's company. Darren's got 3 guys on site, working. He has trained all his guys with the OSHA requirements, given everybody all the safety equipment. Now, he's not on the job, okay? and his guys aren't following the rules and someone gets hurt?
Good question.
What happens?
Good question. Again, it's very fact specific. In that case, first of all, the first thing you should say that the employer, the employee cannot sue his employer. So his workers, Darren first,
Right.
his workers cannot sue Darren because of the workers' compensation laws in New York.
Okay.
Darren provides these workers' compensation.
Right.
So that protects him or shields him from being sued by his employees. And
Okay.
that goes for any company in New York.
All right.
So, but the employee who is hurt can sue that property owner if he's not protected by the exclusion.
I got
Say
you.
it's a commercial property.
Right.
They're constructing a building 7 stories tall. A worker falls through a hole or falls from a scaffold.
Mm-hmm.
Even if Darren provided the equipment, the proper equipment, there is a chance that that worker will still be compensated in the lawsuit because the laws are so favorable to that.
Okay,
work.
so my misunderstanding then earlier was, when we first started talking about this, was that a contractor could actually get sued. So it wouldn't be suing the contractor. If, I'll give you another scenario.
You're the scenario king.
I'm the
tonight.
scenario king, because
Yeah.
I hear a lot of scenarios, trust me, right? So you got somebody working on a project in Manhattan. Okay.
Construction project.
Construction project.
Okay.
And the owner of a crane that they're using, somebody slips and falls, can they sue? Now, they don't own the company they work for doesn't own the crane. So it's leased out, but one of their
Right.
workers got hurt on the crane.
Right. Well, then if it's the fault of the crane people,
Right,
then that's not his employer,
right.
so he can sue them.
He can sue the crane people.
Right. What happens in a lot of, say, construction accident cases is that, someone, God forbid, gets hurt, and if he's a subcontractor,
Right.
working for a electrician, a carpenter,
Yeah.
he can sue the general contractor and the property owner.
Okay, so this is because I've heard these things where this has happened. The scenario I just gave you, I heard about that happened. The crane was owned by the owner of the construction company, but he owned it in a different company.
Okay.
Okay,
So how can you
Right.
own it in two companies?
easy. He owned both companies.
Huh.
The guy worked for one as the contractor, and then he had the equipment company.
Right. If that was
And from what I understand, there's separate entities.
right.
So one isn't tied to the other technically, even though
Right.
it's the same owner. Okay,
What-
so the employee can then sue, in sense, their employer because they're suing the other company.
Right, you're getting a little technical and
No,
complicated, but if that was, okay, if I had that client and I had to file a lawsuit, I would just file suit against all of them.
Right.
And then, what they say, let the dice fall where they may.
Right.
This way, I'm covering my behind, and I name them all in a lawsuit. And then if proof comes later on that he was an employee, and that happens a lot of times, where during depositions or discovery phase of litigation, there's proof that, he was an employee of this company, or this company,
Right.
then you discontinue against that entity.
Right, I got you.
But doesn't
that-
timing figure in?
But see, this is where I go. It's so unfair to the employers because and what you say is, well, if you're not sure if they're an employee or an employee relationship, just throw them in the mix. And now this person who, by all sense, is shouldn't be a party to the lawsuit now has to get an attorney and do all these other things and spend his time to defend himself.
Well,
And unfortunately, that's the way our laws are set up, right?
Well, it's also the litigation process. In answer to that, I would say I have a client to protect, and I have to protect that client zealously.
And you're doing
And I'm
everything
doing everything I can
right.
to-
You're doing
right,
everything
on my
that you
end.
have the ability to do
Right.
to protect them.
Right.
What I'm saying is,
But-
I'm not saying you're wrong in what you're doing. What I'm saying is, from your side, you're doing everything right, and then from the contractor side, he thinks You know, he has to do everything right, and people who aren't necessarily should be a party to something, like you said, till
Right.
discovery happens and things like that.
Correct.
You don't know if they should be a part of this or not.
Yeah, that happens many times. That's why these companies have insurance,
Right.
and the insurance company hires a law firm. In fact, the case may be if I don't sue that company, and I find out later that they are involved, and the statute of limitations has passed, and
Then
I can't
you
sue them,
lose.
I can get sued for malpractice.
Ah, right. Okay.
Why didn't
So you
sue
really
my-
so it comes down to the way our legal system is set up is sue everybody and we'll figure it out.
Well,
you know,
I-
it's
gotta
like
get
that old saying,
protected.
"Kill them all and God will sort them out." Right?
well, to some extent, I guess. I don't look at it that way. I just say who are the logical. Well, obviously, in a simple case, you're going to know who the defendants are.
Right.
But there are situations where you're not sure,
Yeah.
and you just say, "I'm not sure what is going on here," and I have to name them in the lawsuit.
Right.
And I'm going to do what I can to protect my client.
Now, are there situations? I know I'm monopolizing the time here.
I know it
Norm,
too.
I know you. You can jump in anytime you want, but I'm on a roll. Are there times where, like, when you get into discovery, almost immediately? Well, when you do discovery, do you have a mediator involved? Is it just you and the other side?
Only when you
How's-
get to a
how
certain
does that
part
work?
in court.
Yeah, a mediator comes by.
Because you talked about before, up until filing the lawsuit,
Yeah,
right?
a mediator gets involved only towards like the settlement end, when
Okay.
everything's done. During the discovery phase, usually the lawyers just handle it themselves. The experienced lawyers know what they're doing. They know each case sort of has like an outline or a pathway through the courts that they know what needs to be done. So we
So
play
you
it
guys
like
can
that.
kind of figure out who you need to keep including and who, like, if you sue everybody and the other lawyer comes back with proof that this one doesn't, that one doesn't, you sit there and go, okay, let's exclude this one. Let's
Exactly.
exclude
You
that one.
you sign a paper. You just say I'm discontinuing against XYZ company,
Right.
and the lawsuit goes on. XYZ is out.
Right. Okay.
But upon sufficient proof.
Right. So how often does that happen?
It happens often, not every day, but
Right.
it happens.
And people think they're going to get away with things.
Well, that's the thing too. You know, sometimes you get people who are overzealous and they're like, and they start naming, like they'll come in and sit with you, and they have a case against, say, 3 different things, but they start naming everybody under the sun,
Right.
And you don't know,
Right.
so you got to include everybody to find out who's really there and who's not, right?
Correct. Usually, an astute attorney will listen to the client and sort things out, and there are ways to find out who the property owners are, who owns things, who.
So before you actually file or move forward with a suit, you'll do your own due diligence.
Oh, absolutely.
To kind of say, you know, and do you go back to your client and say, well, we can't include this person because?
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly. You're employed by him.
Right.
He's your employee. You can't sue him.
Right.
Oh, let me just say, in a lot of cases, in those construction accident cases, the lawyer cannot sue his employer.
Right.
What will happen is that the other defendant will start what's called a third-party action,
Right.
and he'll sue the employer and bring him into the
Wow.
suit.
Right.
Right. So that's how you get around that.
Right. I got
It's
you.
a little- wink, wink.
And pretty soon I'm going to sue the 2 of you because we have to get out of here.
We have to get out of
We
here.
have to get out of
we
here.
We got more time. We got plenty of more time.
You think?
Yeah.
All right.
Right? Yeah, like Steven's sitting there going, yeah, we got plenty more. We got about
Okay.
20 minutes. Right? 10, 15.
I don't want to bore our audience with all these technicalities.
No. I actually find this very
Informative.
very informative as to what's going on. Paul Rubin, hey Paul, how are you tonight? Paul Rubin's down here.
Hi, Paul.
Okay. Safety is always our first concern. I don't know, Darren. I've been in your shop. No, I'm kidding. No, it is. Darren walks around with a hard hat on all the time.
There you go. That's safety.
But
Safety.
yeah, no, it's you know it's all of those things that we have to stay on top of what you're doing. So what else do you do,
Right.
Paul, besides dedicate your life to helping the less fortunate? with these personal
Oh,
injury
this is
cases.
getting really good.
Like a personal hobby?
Yeah,
or
like,
interest?
what are you
He
interested
comes
in?
to our shows.
Right. I'm a big sports fan.
Okay.
And I'm a big music fan.
All right.
Uh,
Okay, so wait,
right.
so let's talk sports.
This is good. No,
Okay.
let's talk music.
Now he's Brooklyn, right? So I'm assuming a Mets fan.
Absolutely.
All right, so that's what. Yeah, I have a cousin that's from Brooklyn. And,
Unfortunately,
yeah.
should I say.
So me growing up on the island, I actually grew up a Yankee fan.
Ooh.
All right, so
That a way to go.
so
boy.
wait, are you a Jets fan too?
Of course. A season ticket holder.
A season
Well, I
ticket
just
holder
signed.
for the
I
Jets?
just signed a contract today with the New York Jets with the Marty Lyons Foundation.
Oh, nice.
And we're doing a concert for them, a fundraiser for them for this coming November 3rd.
No, not this year. Next year.
Yes, you're correct. Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you for keeping me.
Yeah, because we're only 2 weeks from November 3rd.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
November 3rd this year
2019.
2019.
2019, November
Yeah.
3rd,
at Tiller Center.
at the Tillis Center.
Very nice.
Marty
Very nice.
Lyon
You want
had
tickets
time,
now?
big time.
Or you want to come back on the show again and
Get you the tickets now.
I'll come back and buy tickets.
okay.
Okay. Who's performing that day?
Donna Summer.
Very nice. Oh,
Yeah.
Donna Summer, and what's your cousin's name? I mean your friend's name? Cousin's-
Bob Nelson.
Bob Nelson.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a killer show.
okay.
Killer show.
Okay.
It's not going to be cheap.
Okay.
It's going to be an
Way to go.
expensive one. So,
Okay.
Norm's got to, he didn't get any money out of the lawsuit that he just settled, so he's got to get his money somehow, right?
Sure.
Well,
sure.
actually,
I've been to
we-
Norm shows.
yes, you have. You've been there.
Right.
Well,
Great,
the
great time.
first Norm show, I can tell you a quick story about Norm
This is
shows.
a good story.
So he was doing shows up in Pennsylvania, as you see on his promotions and stuff. So we were up at Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania. We have some friends that have a house out there. So we were up for the weekend visiting them, and he just happened to have a show
chance.
going on at Wilkes-Barre. And he was like, why don't you come down? And we found out it's only like 35 minutes. So we went. It was the New York Bee Gees. That was the show we saw.
And Donna
Excellent
Summer.
show. No, Donna wasn't there.
Oh,
Donna
she
was
just
there the
by
night
herself?
before in Philly.
Got it.
Right? But here's what I found out about Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania. I thought Jim Thorpe lived there or grew up there or was born there. Do
Why
you know the
have him?
story behind it?
No, I know he's from
Why
Oklahoma.
haven't?
He's from Oklahoma, right?
He's Indian.
All right, and I figured, well, maybe that's where he retired. Nope. After he passed away, his wife was so destitute, and the town that is now Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania, was looking for a tourist attraction, that they bought his remains, and they
Oh.
bought his name.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So his remains now are in Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania. Honest to God, I found that out. I was
That's
very
a good story.
disappointed.
That's a good
yeah.
story.
But I was very disappointed,
Yeah.
because I'm
Now-
thinking, we're driving around. I'm going, so I wonder where Jim Thorpe lived, and, and then we found out that story,
Right,
and
right.
it was like, wow, it was so.
So he came with two of his friends,
Yeah.
and they were rocking and dancing all over the place. And
Jim Thorpe did?
that's why everybody was there.
No, we had some people on. So it was a lot of fun. His shows are a lot of fun.
Right.
Next weekend is Donna Summer, right? That's gonna be
next weekend is Donna
right.
Summer, yes.
Donna Summer will be going to that one.
Nice.
Here on the island, so I don't have to travel as
Right.
far to go see his show.
No, you don't have to travel far at all.
So it's going to be a good one on there. So okay, so you're a Jets fan.
Correct.
So that always ties together.
Correct.
See, my cousin's he's a little screwy. So he's a Mets Giants fan, which is very rare because I'm a Yankees Giants fan.
Yeah,
So
okay.
they go
That's
together,
very
right?
rare.
Right.
Yeah, they
They do.
tie,
They do.
tie together, right?
For me, it was like being a Met fan as a kid. You learn baseball. Baseball was
Right.
the first affiliation and love. So then I said, "Oh, the Jets! They play Chase Stadium and
Right.
Joe Namath and."
Well, it's kind of
So,
like how the
oh.
Yankee Giant thing. ties
Right. So
in,
I didn't like the Yankees, and no one in my family did.
Right.
So I equated the Giants with Yankee Stadium. So I said,
Yeah.
"Oh, we don't root for them."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's unfortunately they're all tied like that.
Right.
But it's very familiar to be like that too. So that's cool. That's
Sure.
Yeah,
that's
Stuart,
great.
Stuart likes the shows.
Yep.
Yeah.
So all right. So you're a big rock and roll guy. You were saying
Yeah.
before,
I
right?
like a lot of live music. But nothing like contemporary. Like
No,
from
you're
my
like 70s,
from my era.
70s, 80s, right? You know,
Right,
that type
right,
of thing.
right.
So so you really enjoyed the stuff that he puts on.
It depends what band.
Well, he
it
gets,
is.
you know,
Just say yes.
Yes,
Just
yes,
say yes,
yes.
say
They're
it.
great.
It'll make him
The
feel better.
Chicago show was good.
I
I
should-
haven't seen that one yet. I haven't
It
seen
was
that one.
Chicago, and it was a team with someone else.
Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
Right. And the
Blood,
same
Sweat,
band though. It was very, very good.
That's
Oh, so they
unique.
did
Right.
both?
I saw right, same
Wow,
band.
that's interesting.
Right.
That's interesting.
Rod
They did-
Stewart, I saw.
Right. Okay.
Elton John.
All right.
Yeah.
So, Stu, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, so you can help them not only with personal injury law, right, but also the Mets and the Jets, okay? Because the Jets look like they're turning a corner. They look,
Maybe,
they look
maybe
okay
not.
this year.
They got a
Yeah.
good quarterback.
They got to
Right.
stay consistent. If they can stay consistent,
Right.
they'll be okay, right?
Right.
So
They got to build on what's happening.
Right. So how are they going to get in touch with you? Tell our audience how they're going to.
Phone number is 516-708-9250. And the website is kitchnerlaw.com. KITCHNERLAW.com.
And for those of you who didn't catch it, Stephen did put it up on the screen, so you can get that information there. Get a hold of Stu, anytime you want. Really good guy. He's going to help you out. He's going to do the right thing.
That's what you need.
That's what you need. You need somebody who's going to do the right thing. And that's what Stu's going to bring to the table for you. Let me ask you about this. One of the things that you read in the paper constantly is this opioid epidemic that's, strangling our nation. And no other way to put it. It's killing our kids, And from what I'm reading, it's a lot of prescription drugs that are getting out there and are actually doing this damage. It's not like the stuff that people are buying on the street that's really, doing that. Do you see a lot of cases with that type of situation where they're not getting the right medical care? Because you talked about malpractice before, right?
Correct. I do see that. I have some matters pending regarding the overprescription of certain opioid medications, fentanyl, oxycodone, and it's very unfortunate. Can't get into any specifics, but like you said, it's an epidemic.
Right.
And these are medical malpractice cases against physicians, hospitals, even physician assistants who are allowed to prescribe medications, and they suffer. The case I have resulted in death, unfortunately.
I'm sorry to hear that.
So it obviously affects the family very much. And they are medical malpractice cases, so which is a little difficult, higher threshold to prove.
Right.
Under New York law, a little more difficult and a little more intense, just because the nature of the beast, medicine and prescription
Right.
drugs.
Well, a lot of times you hear about these prescription drugs being stolen from somebody's, medicine cabinet and things like that, and that's how these kids are getting a hold of them.
Right.
But I'm sure there are cases where, for whatever reason, the people that are attending to them are just writing these things out. Oh, you don't feel good? Here's a drug. Here's
Right.
a drug. Because
Right.
I think we've gotten into this society where a pill is going to solve all our problems. And we really can't focus on that. Right?
I was in a hospital. I was given OPS.
I know you were. When I
I
first
was
time I
there.
went to see you, you were.
I
Yeah.
was Looney Tunes,
Yep.
but then I kind of like stopped.
Your wife still says you're Looney Tunes.
Yes,
Yeah.
but that part is true. But I kind of like stopped. There are certain times where I must take it for pain. I mean, the pain is insane. I just got to do it, and I try to avoid it as best I can. I took a pill because I had to before I came here. I took it because the pain was crazy, and I needed some structure. I needed to be kind of like stable and what have you. So what did he say?
10. We got
Got it.
10.
Okay.
That's why you were doing backflips when we picked you up.
I
right?
was in your truck,
Yeah.
right? When you took me home last week.
Oh, last
right?
time,
And
yeah,
that
you
was
were in a
that
lot
was
of
the
pain.
first week. I was in a lot of pain, and in your truck you have a 4x4.
Yeah.
Okay. I slid right down. All right, and I really hurt myself.
Well, yeah, he missed a step.
I didn't know there was a step.
And he
Oh,
went,
wow.
boom.
Didn't know there was
Yeah.
a step.
Oh, gee.
Yeah.
You know, and then it happened. I have pills at home. I don't use them. Okay. I've learned to live without it. I take them only when I absolutely must, and that's it. And that's it. You got to be really, really careful.
Absolutely. A lot of this is education on part of the public.
But they give you the
And they have to
education too late.
Right. That's why when we forward, it's almost like a public service announcement. Just educate yourself as to what is going on and what medications you're taking,
Well,
and question your doctor.
It's very right. It's very important. You know, like when we were growing up, we were taught don't question a doctor; he knows what he's doing. Right? Now we're in a day and age where we have to question everybody and everything, and we really got to be thinking about when a doctor just says take some of these when you feel the pain. You got to know what the
pain
side
is.
effects is.
Right.
And you got to know what pain is.
Right. Well, sometimes what happens is people get addicted to this stuff, and they get the phantom pain, where they think they're hurting. That's the way they're going to get their
Right.
thing, their need in.
Right.
So-
It's not a simple issue because there are so many factors involved, and a lot of these medications are heavily addicting.
Right.
And if you're in pain,
And
like
fast.
normal was, you'll take anything to do it.
Right.
And the relief is so great that it said I can't go on without this.
Right.
So they get addicted, and then it leads to problems. And also, you have to know what other medications you're taking in.
Or that you can take.
Right, that you can take, or that you're
Well,
taking at the
that-
time. Because
that's
you don't want
part
to
of
make
the
a
problem,
cocktail,
right? Yeah.
a cocktail of something that's going to be very, very harmful to you.
Yeah. So I mean, all of this stuff is there's just so much. We can go on and on and on all night long with this.
I
Right.
found out that a bacon and egg sandwich with extra cheese will do the trick.
Usually,
No, it does. It works really great. I mean, Stuart, do you agree?
Sounds good to me,
Okay.
especially in the morning.
So tomorrow morning, bacon and egg.
There you go.
You know, on a toasted roll.
What time are we meeting?
so Stu,
Right by your house.
One
We'll
more
come there.
time, let everybody know how they can get a hold of you.
It's
Okay.
Kitchner Associates. Phone number is 516-708-9250. And the website is kitchenerlaw.com. I might add that, I don't know if it's too soon, but
Go ahead.
I'll be having a booth at the Boom Network Expo.
There we go. That's what I was going to say. Is there anything else you want to tell us? What's going on?
I'm a member of the Boom Network. That's where I met Norm. It's a great networking group. They're having a business-to-business expo at the Huntington Hilton in Melville on November 15 of this year. It's from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. And I will be having a booth there exhibiting.
I'll be there also. I'll be part of a panel discussion.
Great.
Okay, so and actually we're going to be talking about being on a show just like this. So that's going to be part of the panel discussion. Brian
What's
Cohen
your business?
from
Why don't you tell people what you do?
Well, we're going to do that in a sec.
We
We're
don't
gonna,
have
we're
a
gonna,
sec.
We're going to say thank you to our friend. We got a couple of minutes.
Okay.
We say thank you to our friend for being on the show tonight. So thank you, Stuart. We really appreciate you coming on.
No problem. Thank
It was
you
a
very
lot
much.
of fun.
Norm, always.
See you soon.
Okay.
Yes.
So now, Norm, now we can talk about us, me and you,
What about
and
it?
things that are going on. All right. All right. So I'm going to talk about me.
Oh,
How's
go
that?
for it.
All right. So everybody, we just talked about on
Everybody.
November 15th, I'll be part of a
Good.
panel discussion. Our friend Brian Cohen put that panel discussion together.
Uh-huh.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you for inviting me to it. But December 5th, Building the Business Owner's Roadmap. As you guys know, I do, business and executive coaching. I'll be speaking at the Miller Business Center from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. It is free. Come down, have breakfast. Come down, watch, interact with me. I'm going to help you guys actually build a business plan that you're actually going to use. A lot of you business owners, either you've never built a business plan or you built a business plan just to get your business going, you stuck it in a drawer and you never looked at it again. Well, I'm going to teach you how to make an interactive business plan that you're going to use on a daily basis. So join me December 5th at the Miller Business Center from 9 a.m. to 10:30. Doors open at 8:30. Coffee and networking available during that time. So come on down for that. And then also tomorrow night, I think I told you this, at the town of Brookhaven, we're having the Building the Business in Brookhaven Networking and Trade Show. I actually am going to have a table there. Michelle and I are going to have a table.
Maybe I'll join you.
So come on down and see us. All right, we can promote the show down there too.
Well, not only that, I'm going to hopefully there'll be people that belong to not-for-profit organizations.
Right. Well, there could be plenty there. I met them last year.
I would like to teach them the correct way to do fundraising and do different fundraising.
Yeah.
The old stuff doesn't work. It just doesn't work. I have to teach you the new way to go and do it, bring new people to your charity. And I've been doing this for 30 years. So you'll be able to get some stuff out of it. And yeah, and if you want to come to the Donna Summer Show.
Donna Summer Show,
That'll
right?
be great.
That's
Good.
what, October 27th?
October 27th on, yeah.
Go to
friendentertainmentusa.com.
Right. Go there, get your tickets now. I'll be there. Norm will be there. You'll be able to see both of us at the show. So come on down and join us. Anything else, my friend?
That'll be great. We have concerts coming up in the fall. We have holiday concerts. We're going to be in the theater in the park is doing a concert with Neil Diamond.
Neil Diamond. Okay. Yep. I saw that.
Neil Diamond,
I saw that ad. Yeah.
And we're going to be doing a concert yeah, good. Just call me. It's getting late.
Okay, guys.
I'm in a hospital for too long.
Yeah, there you go. So I want to thank everybody for joining. Hey, my cousin Liz just joined. Hey, Liz, how you doing tonight? Good
Hi,
to
Liz.
see you joining us. Billy, thanks for joining. Darren, as always. Paul, Brian, Renee, Mrs. Wasserman, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Next week, actually, we're going to be talking real estate next week.
We're going to be talking
Right.
real estate.
We got.
And it has to do with the real estate that happens to be in Hicksville. Hicksville is starting to really, really grow.
We're seeing a lot of that with a lot of communities around Long Island now where they're rebuilding themselves and things like that. So tune in next week, next Wednesday, 8 p.m., right here on Twitch TV, okay, Area 22 Productions. Darren, it says the Power Hour with Darren and the Music Man.
And they just told us to get off the line.
To wrap it
Steve
up.
said,
So
get off the phone.
thanks for tuning in, guys. You guys have a great night, and we'll see you next week.
Good night, everybody.
Today's show is brought to you by Friend Entertainment USA, producing the best concerts for charities and corporations for over 30 years. And CBMS Consulting Services. Control your business before it controls you. In association with Area 22 Productions, your multimedia streaming network. If you're interested in being a guest on our show, visit our website at www.bphdmm.com for more information.